You get to see my face from different angles.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Class Clown Series. I'm here with Sally. I'm Will the Thrill. We're having English conversations on a variety of topics, and today we're going to talk about the topic of a language.
I was so much fun they brought me back.
Yes, we did. And yes, you were.
Without your bike this time. She's married to her bicycle. Very interesting story. Check out the other video for that. It's very interesting. Sally, thanks for coming back. It's great to see you.
Sure. It's great to see you, actually.
Oh, well, actually? Surprisingly?
It's been a while.
You've missed me.
Yes.
Okay.
A little.
As I missed you. Now, you know a lot of languages. May I ask how many you know?
I speak 7.
Wow!
I am what is considered a polyglot.
A polyglot. I'm a monoglot. I know English and a little bit of French. But that's phenomenal. 7 languages. Can you rattle off what they are? And maybe a little bit of each little language, a little word or two, or a sentence. No pressure.
Yeah. So on the Occidental side, I speak English, obviously, French, German, and Spanish. And on the Oriental side, I speak Persian, Classical Arabic, and Hindi.
Wow.
Yes.
Tell us about Hindi, Sally.
Yes.
I think that part of your life is quite amazing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I lived in India for 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, who does that?
Oh, people from India.
Yeah, people from India, but
for probably more than 5 years too.
Yeah. So we moved to India, and my dad was doing a PhD, a doctorate.
How old were you at the time?
I was in high school.
Oh wow, okay, that's a big time to make a move over the other side of the world.
But let me tell you something, to our Indian friends, I went back. Who does that? So we were in India with my parents for 3 years, and then we went back home, and then I went back by myself to live in India alone without my parents, obviously. Wow. Because I was so fascinated with the culture and the ways of life and the diversity of the country, and I already spoke the language, and I had a lot of high school friends that I wanted to go back to. So, I went back and I lived there for another 2 years. Went to university there. 5 years total, so I speak Hindi.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Could you describe the difference between, let's say, living over in India versus, the general idea of living in Toronto?
Sure. So
literally everything.
Everything. But I think one of the most important things is that life in India is very communal. So you're part of a community, you feel. Whereas life in Toronto or in Canada or in the US and North America, I feel, is more individualistic. We just hang out with a small group of friends that we have, or we spend a lot of time by ourselves watching Netflix. But life in India has this communal aspect to it, which I used to love.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so somebody could be playing the music in the middle of the street, and just like Indian movies, people start dancing, and everybody's super friendly to one another. I had a really good time, but the language was challenging, the language issue.
Yes.
And you might think I'm speaking about Hindi, but I'm not. I actually did not speak any English when we moved there.
Really?
Yes. So imagine I end up, it was like, I get goosebumps every time I talk about it. I just don't know how I got over that hurdle. So
of learning English.
Of learning English, learning any language.
After Hindi,
to communicate with the people. No, I learned English first.
Okay.
So here's a story for you. Here's a little anecdote. I show up in high school for my first day, and I'm the only foreign student, and everybody else is from India. And I didn't know any English. So from the principal's office, they send a student to come and pick me up and show me where the classroom is. And then she comes to pick me up, and she's like, hello. And I'm like, hello. That much I knew. And then she's like, so what's your name? And I say, oh, my name is Sally. And then she's like, where are you from? And I tell her where I'm from. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know anything beyond this. Like, that is how much English I knew. I knew hello, what is your name, and where you're from. And that's it. Like, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna sit in a class and learn geography now. How? Like math.
How were your marks those first couple years not knowing the language?
So, I mean, obviously language is just related to everything we do. So you might think math, like I knew math, I was really good at math, but I failed my first math test because I just couldn't understand the question.
Yeah.
Like, and I couldn't express myself, right? So if I wanted to write something, I either had to use numbers or nothing. I just couldn't write anything. I couldn't use words. Yeah, here's another funny story. So my dad, as I said, was doing a PhD at the time, and he wanted to be helpful. He wanted to actually help me get through this. And he said, okay, Sally, you go and pick up your book and underline every word you do not know, and we could sit together and I'll tell you the meaning of these words so you can just read a paragraph from your history book.
Right.
I'm like, sure. So I pick up my history book in a moment of absolute desperation, and so the first paragraph of the book, in India having been a colony of Britain, etc., the first paragraph of the book starts with, the term imperialism means the military or economic and political occupation of a country. I did not know a single word in that sentence, so I underlined everything, and then I go up to my dad and I'm like, here it is, and he's like, you were that bad? And I'm like, I don't know anything, but I learned.
Wow. How
what do you think? Will, I have a question for you, Will. What language do you think is the most difficult to learn for you?
I think it would be Asian languages like Chinese or something like that. I think European languages, they seem to be all kind of connected. French has some relationship to Spanish, which has some relationship to English. But I think, Chinese, I think with the characters would be tough.
Just like any language, I feel with a different alphabet would be hard to learn. Like if you were to learn Russian, so hard.
Do you know Russian?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wish. No, that's not one of the languages I speak.
So when you were learning English, were you watching any popular TV shows? People often do that to learn.
Yes.
What were the shows, your go-to shows to learn English?
So it was the 90s, and I obviously watched Friends.
Yeah,
a lot.
Friends, really popular show even to this day.
Yes.
Who's your favorite Friends character?
The girls or the boys?
Let's do one of each.
So I'm Rachel.
You're a Rachel.
I don't love Rachel. I am Rachel. I'm Rachel with a little bit of Monica.
But okay, I can see that's a.
I can see 70% Monica in you, 30% Rachel.
I remember Monica being kind of like the control freak, and Rachel was very kind of funny and kind of
dumb sometimes.
Sometimes maybe a little bit dumb.
A little dumb.
Yeah. So I'm 50-50. I'm 50% Rachel, 50% Monica.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then with the guys,
I'm still going with 70.
They have a history. They are friends. Now, in terms of guys, who's your favorite character in the show there?
So that changed throughout time. So when I was younger, I used to love how free-spirited Joey was.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, I just really like how Chandler committed to that relationship and got married. And I'm like, yes, that's what a man should do. So it changed in time. So definitely Joey, Chandler, but in that order.
Cool. Well, it's good when you watch...
Who was your favorite character?
Ooh, I think I like Chandler because he was funny. And I had a crush on Monica.
Interesting.
And later, as an actor, I grew to appreciate Lisa Kudrow. I think Phoebe was great. She's a great actor too.
She's the only person. She's the only member of the cast who actually won an Emmy, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think.
I think you might be right about that.
Yeah. She was amazing.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people watching the show, and like myself as a high school kid, we actually think Phoebe is like that in real life.
Yeah.
We think she's this quirky, like strange person, but she actually is not.
That's what she was, yeah.
So she was such a good actress, that we actually thought she was like that.
That often happens is some people have trouble differentiating the character from the person. And especially difficult if you're playing a villain, if you're playing a bad character.
Yeah.
Then it's a famous show, outside of the famous show, people don't like you. They think you're a bad guy.
Yeah, I've actually heard about this, that a lot of people diss characters that play the bad guy.
Right.
It'd even be bad if you were a really popular, beloved character. If you had a catchphrase, and then let's say your catchphrase was turn on the oven, the pizza's almost here. That's just a random thought, but just if you'd be walking through your life and people would be like, turn on the oven, pizza's almost here, and you couldn't get away from it, it would be quite a curse.
Yeah, but the good thing about these TV shows is that they're mostly subtitled.
Yes,
especially on Netflix. So they're actually a very good, learning resource.
Nice transition back to the topic of language. That was great.
That's the teacher in her.
That is the teacher, yes. We try to keep this about language.
Yeah. So if you have the subtitles, you can actually read what the characters are saying, because there's sometimes they use expressions that you might not be familiar with.
Yeah.
And to this day, every time I watch Friends, I'm like, oh, I did not know that expression.
Yes,
and I still learn. It's really funny. But obviously, you don't get everything the first time you watch the show, and
no, definitely not.
Yeah, and then you just keep on watching it because it's so much fun, and you keep on rewatching the episodes. Yeah.
So that's kind of the special thing when you're watching a TV show. You're picking up the way that people normally talk in flow. It's also kind of like what we're trying to do here is get people to talk more naturally. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you're learning a language from a textbook or in a classroom setting, it can be very, very dry. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like your experiences with Friends was really beneficial to learning to be such a good English speaker.
Yeah, and I was actually lucky to be in an English speaking environment. Yeah. So at the time, I spoke in Hindi with people on the street in India. Yeah. But we definitely spoke in English in school. Cool. So all the classes were in English. So I was just thrown into the pot of soup that was the English language, awesome. And I was just taught to swim in it.
Awesome.
Okay, I have a question for the both of you. What other fun ways can you think of to learn a language besides watching movies?
I would say speed dating.
Ooh, okay. Right.
There's someone in front of you.
Never done it.
Can we try it? Can we try that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, what is it, 10 seconds?
I don't
30
even know
seconds?
how it works. I don't know how it works.
So
He'll teach you.
Speed dating.
He'll tell you.
So is there any kissing involved in the camp?
Oh, no. Oh, not one of those shows.
I'll tell the bike.
I don't want to get that bike after me. I don't want to get that bike.
Okay, good.
Get a kickstand on the foot or something.
Yeah. Keeping it kosher.
So basically, speed dating is, two strangers meet for about a minute. And they sit and they just have a minute-long conversation. And then after the minute's up, they go to the next table or the next area of the room to meet another stranger, and they talk for a minute. And you basically go around from person to person to person to person. So, you could get in on this if you wanted to.
I'm okay.
So, that could be a really good way to learn a language, I think, because you're meeting someone for a short period of time.
How can you tell someone about yourself in a minute? There's no time.
I know it's
that's the challenge.
It's the challenge. So what are we gonna do?
Challenge.
Let's do it.
Wait, what do you do for a living?
I do this. I work for Class Down Series.
Cool. Do you do any sports?
Yeah, I like to run in the park, and I like to rock climb, and I like to watch basketball.
That's not a sport you do.
Basketball is a sport. It is. Look it up.
Watching it is not.
Well, I mean, I get really into it. My pulse goes up, and sometimes I sweat.
You know what, guys? I don't think the vibe is right.
So. We have a second date? No? Yes? Time's up. Call me. Text me. Get my information to the person.